And investors, welcome to Friday's edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep, brought to you by Options House. We're ready to go now, Joe. How you doing?
You know what? The second time around is always a little bit better, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we got a jam-packed show today, folks. We got some earnings from LinkedIn, and we got the unemployment number. We got the market coming back from that decline. That was the dip to buy, right, Dennis?
All appears to be the dip to buy because holy cow, this market took off there yesterday. We obviously and I'm still mad about the bet, Joe, because if I would have had that extra day, we did get down to that whole 1732 level there, and I would have won that bet, and I've been up six pot bellies. I'm still wish you would have given me that extra day. It's like a weekly option. You expired too quick on me.
Yeah, I was due on that one, but the market did give you a chance down there. It was just a nice triple bottom, 32 and a quarter one day, 34 the other day, and then lo and behold, you went down to 32 even again, and we're right back up here, knocking on the door of what 13 or 1775 here. I guess it's going to see what happens with that number today.
And we are getting a little bit of a pop, so we are continuing to rally here. Joel, you might want to fix the screen there a little bit.
I
It's looking a little bit. We got the gremlins are out there today. Joel's going to adjust the screen
How's
here for
that
some
there?
reason. Well, for some reason, actually, if you look at the thing, we're seeing your back of your
You won't
screen.
now. You won't now.
Okay, Joel's getting it all fixed now here, folks. So we really do have all the bugs got out of this now. It looks like it's going to be one of those Fridays here. But anyways, let's get on to the market here. Obviously, S&P futures trading higher, but LinkedIn, what a wild ride it was for this stock here last night. Reports earnings 39 cents versus 38 cents. Guides lower 455 to 460 million versus 470 million on Q1 sales, and that really knocked the stock down. This thing went all the way down to, what did it go down to, Joel?
You had on that first bar, you went as high as 230, and then you came down to 191.13. I mean, just a huge range, and now you're consolidating here around the 205 to 210 level here. But they didn't like what they heard coming out of LinkedIn, huh?
What was the low there again, just for traders? I want to write that one down.
191.13.
Wow. So they knocked her down under 200, took out all the stops under 200. Well, I guess if there is
Yeah, no
stops after
stops.
hours, anybody's got mental stops there anyways under 200, and then rallied her back up. So it's been kind of like, besides Twitter, it's been a lot of fade the earnings plays here, eh? Like when Triple D was the same thing where it really got slaughtered and then rallied half of it back. LinkedIn got really slaughtered here, but's rallied over half of it back. Twitter did not yesterday, though. That's one that did not rally it back. It closed right almost on the low of the day.
Yeah, was there a big bid in there at 50?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was just there was everybody defending that 50 level. There was hundreds of thousands of shares, probably almost millions of shares there hidden. They just kept whacking at 50 and they could not take it out. Somebody was defending that level to the end, and $50 held up, and they got to close above there at 50.03. So keep that in mind. I don't know if they'll be defending it again there today, but it's a huge number. Especially, I don't know what the open interest is on the weeklies on the 50, but I bet you it's quite high.
Oh, you think people got involved with it, huh? At the $50 level. I mean, it's a nice round number.
I bet
Yeah,
you.
I held it off the open. I was still on the air. I was like, I think it's gonna take out 50, and boom, it held. Inner-day, or the first pop down, and then rallied up, but didn't get as high as we thought it would. We thought it would get way back. Perhaps the 55 area. We were kind of wrong. It settled right at 50 here, so have to see. I'm trading up 47 cents in the pre-market, but not an impressive close at all for Twitter.
No, but either way, they did hold the 50, so that's a big number, and that's going to be your big number there today. Obviously, institutions, somebody was backing it up there. So it's bouncing a bit here this morning. We're trading up at 50.45. So if it can hold on to that 50, maybe the Bulls can try, but I think they might try to take it out here today.
Yeah, you also had a low at going back here at the end of last year, well, December 10th. If in fact you do take out the $50 level, you have another low in the market at 48.70. That's from December 10th. So if you want another target, if it takes out 50, keep an eye on 48.70.
Let's just quickly talk about Facebook too, because it actually had a very quiet trading day with Twitter down as much as it was. And then you have LinkedIn, getting killed here after hours. Facebook's up here again, and it's been holding up fairly strong. It tried to go down a bit there yesterday, but couldn't even meet the low from the previous day. Only got down to 61.46. Ended up closing at 62.16. We're trading up here at 62.34. So with this bad news from Twitter, the bad news from LinkedIn, Facebook is only a buck and a half off its all-time high.
Look at this consolidation that you're having here after the gap and go on the earnings over the last, let's say here, I mean, you had that 60-17 low, but over the last, just call it three trading sessions, Facebook hasn't been out of a little bit, a 2 point range. Look at that, Dennis. 61.27 was your low on Tuesday, or excuse me, on Wednesday, and you haven't been able to get higher than 63.16, 63.14. Those are your highs, and tight range here. You got a consolidation, and I know what you're going to say. It's a consolidation to go higher here, but it's really pausing. Buyers and sellers coming in agreement here. I'd keep an eye on the upside here, 63.16. We break above that, then we get to the all-time high is 63.77. I think if you do break below, I guess you have to give it 66.
60.
Yeah, 60 really to. I mean, it's held 67, 60, 17 since the earnings. So, wow, really tight ranges here for Facebook. Maybe
Winding up to go one way or another, so it's
we'll
going to be
see.
interesting to see which way it does eventually break. Lots of other earnings here. Let's go into a few of them from last night. Expedia, EXPE, reported earnings, and they did pretty well here. 92 cents against analyst estimates of 86 cents. This stock is popping up $8.50 here this morning. It's up 13%. This is now approaching, well, it's at 73.90 right now, and I'm looking at the highs here from before, and they were around 72.19. So yeah, this is new all-time highs here for Expedia.
The initial pop here in the pre-market got up to 75.68, pulling back, consolidating between 73 and 74 right now. I guess that would be the former all-time high. You had a nice double top. We're way above that at 72.19 and 72.05. So traded $2 above the former all-time high here. So keep an eye on that. If will act as support right now.
Let's look at its brother-in-law Priceline there. It's getting a nice lift off the Expedia numbers too. It's up $15 right now here in the pre-market, trading $1,153. Went out at 1138, but that's quite a ways off of its all-time high. It was actually looking pretty weak 2 days ago, where it broke down May new low, kind of reversed with the overall market there the last couple of days, and now here all of a sudden we're back hanging around 1150. So we've retraced almost half of the losses.
Pre-market high so far in the issue. You have a high after the close at 11.58. Just kind of bouncing around here between 11.50 and 11.58. I guess you got to look at this 11.60 level. We're still $7 away from there. That looks like it's been resistance here for a few trading sessions. So I'd keep an eye on 11.60.
Actually, J Dot's just asking how low LinkedIn could go or how high we think it could bounce here. He wants a little more details there on the LinkedIn, Joel. So
Okay.
let's just bounce back to it just for a second here, because we're looking obviously yesterday closing near the highs. The one thing I do like about LinkedIn here is that it is shrugging off the disappointing sales guidance, because the guidance wasn't good. They really killed it there after hours, but it's sort of shrugging off. It's only down $14 right now. At one point, it was down $32. So that's a nice recovery here. I think as long as LinkedIn can stay above the low that it made on January the 7th, which was 198.60. So call the whole area around $200, but I always like to give it a little bit through the whole numbers, just because they like to hit stops at the big whole numbers. So I like that number, 198.60. We can stay above there. LinkedIn has a shot to obviously stay, and the Bulls keep charge of it here. So what's your thoughts?
This is, I tell you, look at a lot of charts, and just initially when you pull up a chart, you can get just a feel for it. This LinkedIn chart is it's just too much like an accordion. I just have a hard time getting a good feel for it. Looking at it on the dailies here, I used a lot from yesterday's range here. We're trading down. I think you need to get back above yesterday's low here, which was 212.68. If you don't get above that area, I think you're going to come back down and test the 201.86. That was a low from January 29th.
We got Apple in the news here this morning, too. Wall Street Journal is reporting that they have bought back $14 billion worth of stock here in the last 2 weeks. We knew the buyback was there. I'm not sure if that's why the stock is popping $8 because we knew they were buying. They said they were going to buy back stock here. I guess, they're just happy to see that they actually are doing it. And if that's the reason we're popping $8, I'm not totally sure why. But 520.77 is where it's trading at right now. And Apple has actually found some life here. It started rallying, I noticed, 2 days before the overall market. It really kind of shrugged off when we had the big down day in the market. Apple held up very well. It's trying to hold the whole 500 area, and it's been marching here. So Apple kind of has been leading this market rally.
Looking into pre-market trading for Apple, you did have a high of 526.24, pulled back to the 520 level here. So, looking at the dailies here, I'm never a big fan of when you get these gaps up like this. You're really gapping into a gap here. So wait for it if you want to be patient here. Perhaps wait for it to come back down to the 513 and a half, 515.28. Those were your last two highs. Maybe get back into that area. Just don't like chasing it up here. After the gap down and the back up. I guess they're construing. If the company likes a stock here at 500, then investors will as well.
Let's talk about Google here too, just while we're talking about Apple, kind of going through all the big Momo here right now, and it's
Momo.
popping $7 here too. It's back up at 11.67. Everybody kind of had this for dead 2 days ago when it broke down and took out 11 and went down as low as 11.28, but it has bounced back nicely with the market overall here too. And now we are sitting only about $19 off the all-time high here on Google, which is 11.86.
Yeah, you just can't keep this thing down. I have to agree with you on that one.
Such a hard stock to short.
Yeah, 1167.77. That was the high that you just hit here in the pre-market. I was looking at that 1135 area. That was where we had settled before the earnings had came out. Actually, 3343 is where we settled on earnings. The day of the earnings, the close here, going back up. There's not much in there until 181.72. That's not the all-time high though.
Open Table, one of your favorite stocks there, Joel. OPEN reported earnings there last night. It hasn't traded much this morning, but it was trading down significantly last night on this report. 59 cents versus 52 cents, so a nice beat on the bottom line. Actually, a nice beat on the top line as well, 52.3 million versus 51.5 million. But then they gave the Q1 guidance, and they're seeing 31 to 43 cents that they're making against analyst estimates up of 53 cents. They also gave full fiscal year earnings guidance. They're seeing $1.71 to $1.92, and analyst estimates were up at 221. We know when the companies lower guidance, it usually doesn't matter what they report, they usually whack them. And they whacked it down last night to 68.5. It's trading, well, it hasn't traded this morning yet. It's bid at 68.60 right now. Best offer's up at 70.49. So it's looking like it's going to open it down at least $5 and maybe 6 or 7.
I actually got a pre-market low of 68 even. And now that was after hours. Now you've come back down to 68.50 this morning. So if you go to the daily zone, you take a look at this chart. 68 here. You did have some lows in that area. Going back, ooh boy, you had 3-4 lows in that area. November 4th, you had a low at 68.21. You had another low at 68.06 here. So 68 is a key level here for open table to hold.
ONVO, I just noticed, just reported there for JDOT. It's lost 7 cents. Not seeing really what the response here is in the pre-market, if there's really any to that report, but that just broke here a few minutes ago. ONVO.
Yeah, that's the 3D printing stock here for health is not doing as good as I thought it would, but holding the $8 level here. Kind of been trading, consolidating here. You got a series though of what, 1, 2, 4, 2, 3, 5 lower highs here. So that's not a good trend. But I think if you can get above that 919 level, that was the lowest of the highs here. You got a chance to float up perhaps to the 964 area.
This whole $8 area just
It's
kind of
huge.
jumps out at you when you look at it on the chart. I think that's the area it's got to hold. It started breaking through $8, and I'm going to get really nervous, especially considering how weak some of the other 3D printing stocks have been. It's actually held up not bad. I mean, bring up a chart of 3D, that thing's been absolutely murdered. SSYS, they've all kind of bounced back a bit, but ONVO has not been beat up nearly as much as some of these other ones. So relative strength in the sector, okay. And I'd say as long as it holds above $8, maybe it's got a shot, the Bulls to take charge again.
Yeah, this Triple D is trying to come back here. Had that big washout day and kind of battled back yesterday. Two highs within, well, buck and a quarter, buck and a half. 65.73 and 67.18, trading up a buck 36 here in the pre-market. So get above 67.18 and try and get back into the fill that gap area all the way up to 73.27.
I had my eye on this one in my investment portfolio for a long time, and I was looking at it back when it was in the 40s. And then I didn't buy it, and I watched it march all the way up to the highs in the $97 area.
Wow.
Now that it pulled back and had the huge down day, it got down that whole 56. I'm watching it 55, and I was like, you know what? I better start nibbling. I really wanted to buy it in the 40s, but I was like, well, I'll start nibbling in my portfolio. And I only bought 100 shares, and I bought it at 55.36. I'm kicking myself. I was like, why didn't I buy more? The thing popped $10 basically in the 2 days since then. So it's always the way when you're just nibbling, that's usually your best trades. But isn't for a trade though. This was more for an investment. I was looking at this a little longer term. I still like it a little more in the 40s. I think it's a little rich at $64, but we know these Momo stocks, when they start going, they can really run.
Especially when you get a spike low like that, and then you start to come back up. You get, people that are sitting on shorts, just they're gonna get a little bit more nervous. It's just not gonna. All the news and the bad news was out and everything, and it went down to 54.63. Now you're $10 above that level. So as any kind of pullbacks here are gonna be met with buyers.
Gap gave some preliminary numbers there last night, GPS. They gave out the comps, but they also gave out Q4 EPS, and they're looking 65 to 66 cents versus analyst estimates of 59 cents. This broke right after the bell last night. It immediately popped up on that report, and the stock actually is trading still higher here in the pre-market. It's bid at 41.05 right now, went out at 39.71. It's above a key resistance point, though. We were really struggling to get over 40. Yesterday, we topped out at 40.11.
Yeah,
Back about a month
wow.
ago, we topped out at 40.08. So the old or old resistance might become new support trick. If this thing pulls back, I think you'll probably find some buyers in the 40s, but I don't know if we're going to pull back or not.
No, I mean a lot may be depending on how this number comes out. You did hit a high just recently at little that was after the close. You're right. In the after hours, you hit 41.44. You've only pulled back 50 cents from there. Boy, that 40 was a nice level. You had three highs in that area. So I guess if you want to be a little bit of patient on this thing, get a pullback. But wow, this thing was at what 30 hit 36.50 a few trading sessions ago here, and now back up at 41. That is, I don't know, might be a little too much too quick for me.
Yeah, especially if you get up into the 42 area, if they really started jacking it, you got major resistance up there, just above 42. Actually, had a high of 42.33 on December the 2nd. You had a high of 42.45 back on November the 18th. And then if we slide back into September, you topped out at 42.66. So I'm going to call that whole area 42.50, and I'll call that area major resistance.
I don't think you see that today. Do you want to go?
I don't think so either.
Okay.
I think it's too much.
I was gonna see if I
But
could get my last.
you're trying to sucker me
Get
here.
get even on the lunch run.
Analysis.
Yeah, I'm on a
You're
roll.
trying to get that you're trying to get that last PB lunch from me.
It's tough. You're tough. You're a tough customer.
Yeah, tough customer. He suckered me in. He took 2 of those lunches.
Gosh,
from
I'm
me. I
never
gotta
gonna
watch
hear about that,
I
Brent.
gotta
I'm
watch
never gonna
you.
hear
Still
the end
mad at
about
you for
that. I
that.
mean, jeez. Okay, let's.
Analysts were pretty busy here last night. We got some major upgrades and downgrades here. Let's start with a big Netflix getting upgraded at Stifel Nicholas here this morning.
Is it
And
Stifle or
Netflix,
is it Stiefel?
Joe,
I
Brent,
I think
Brent there,
I,
Brent.
I'm sorry to say, Dennis. I believe it's Steeple.
Is it Steeple? That's how they do it. Stifle, Steeple.
I'll call the company today just to confirm, but I believe it's Steeple.
Steeple. Okay, we'll go with Steeple
All
because
right.
Brent knows. If Joel said it was Steeple, I'd just ignore him. But because Brent says Steeple, I'll go with it.
Thanks, Dennis.
So stock is popping up here, $3 this morning at 410.98. We are just $2 off, or actually just $1.17 off. You like that math? $1.17 off the all-time high of 412.15.
Consolidation. Look at this consolidation in the Flixer here. Uh, had to bump up to the all-time high there of 412.40 and 412.15. So that's your major area of resistance. Get above there. It's off to the races. Really, last 5, 6 trading sessions, been trading, between 400 and 412.15. For a hot rod like this. Well, I guess you had a couple lows on under 400, 397 and 398. Pre-market high, they did make a new all-time high at 415. So if you're looking up for a target, if we take out that 412 area, the highest Netflix has ever traded is 415.
I like this chart. I mean, it's going to depend on the jobs number, obviously, here that we're going to get in 6 minutes. That's going to, matter for everything here because it's going to really move the market. But if the jobs number is decent here, I think this stock could break out, make new all-time highs, and really take a run. I wouldn't even be surprised if this stock, if the jobs number is good, saw something like 420 here today because it's been really winding up here. It looks like it wants to go to me. It's just kind of been hanging out, maybe waiting for the market to really make a move. So we'll see how the jobs number is, but I think if the jobs number goes and this thing can start trading up above 413, 414, I think it could pop $10 today.
Do you have a Netflix account?
I had one, just tried it out there just for like a month, basically, just on the free trial. But I had the Canadian Netflix there, and you know what? I really wasn't impressed with it. But then I was talking to other people, and they said, "Oh, the Canadian Netflix isn't nearly as good as the U.S. Netflix." So maybe
Why?
I should have went through the U.S. one.
Why? I mean, it just doesn't have the same variety of
Not
shows.
not enough content. Yeah, the content was really there was some content in there, but I was really unimpressed with it. So apparently they have like about 10% of the
What
content
what
is
do they
just
show?
this.
Reruns of Hockey Night in Canada?
Actually, the big thing I liked there was I'm trying to remember what the name of the show was. Like I liked all the little sitcoms when I was growing up too, like the Saved by the Bells and stuff like that. But they had a Canadian one, and I can't even remember what it
Oh,
is.
I know
But
what it was. Uh,
what? Tell me.
Benny Hill.
It wasn't Benny Hill either, but it was probably on there though. So they definitely have different content. Some overlaps, but it's definitely different. I wasn't overly impressed with it, but I did try Netflix out. It was about 3 years ago, I bet you. So I should probably give it another shot because they probably improved it a lot since then. But to be honest with you, I don't even watch that much TV. I'm
Yeah,
more just a
either do.
stock market and sports guy. I like my hockey games, so that's a Canadian thing. Also getting upgraded here this morning, Starbucks. Upgraded
Ooh.
at Wells Fargo here. They are upgrading the stock, and the stock is popping about $1. 73.33 went out at 72.36. This has been on a little bit of a tear too. I mean, the market overall has been on a pretty good run here the last couple of days, but this stock popped over $2 yesterday, and now it's tacking on another dollar.
Pre-market high 73.50 here, kind of getting a spike up. You did have a high at 73.66. That's going back to January 29th, so not quite through that area yet. Gets above there, things open up to 75.
Also with an upgrade here is Kellogg's. Actually, I've
Kellogg's.
got a little bit of this in my trading account for full disclosure right now. It's not an investment. It's actually in my trading account. But this stock was wicked there yesterday. I think it reported earnings, and they did actually have it a little bit lower there off the hop. The thing went down all the way to 55.69. Turned around and closed positive on the day and closed right near the highs. The
Yep.
high of the day was 57.82. So might follow through here today. We have not had a trade here this morning, but with the upgrade from JP Morgan, I got to think it could pop a little bit more.
Yeah, closed right near the high. Big range for the Battle Creek, Michigan company. 57.75, 57.82. Your last two highs in the trading sessions. To get above there, I don't know. I want to get super excited. Got another high at 58.15, 58.39 here. Big run, though, yesterday. We'll see if it can continue.
Lululemon getting upgraded at RBC Capital stock trading up $1 in the pre-market at 46.50. What do you think of this chart? We almost put in a double bottom there the last 2 days, 44.32 and 44.36. Now, and then it pops $1 with the overall market. Now pops another dollar. You think the low in Lulu might be in?
I don't know though. I mean, if you're looking at this chart and you're going by historical precedents here, it looks exactly what it did at the $65 level, right? Hit 65 and
Yeah.
it's basing, and then boom, bad news.
Cute.
Then it hits 60 and like it's hanging in there, it's hanging in there. Boom, hits
Cute.
50. And now you're rounding, getting another. I've never seen a chart look like that. I'm gonna have to take a screenshot of this one. I've never seen a chart
The
look like that.
base, the puke, the base, the puke, the
Yeah,
base.
yeah.
The trend is not your friend, I guess.
No, no. But we'll see. I mean, it's getting a little pop up in the pre-market here. You made a 46.80 high. Had multiple highs in the 46 30 to 40 area. So yeah, I'd be leaning a little bit on the long side on this one.
Getting popped up. People want me to talk about the CBOE earnings here too, which just beat. They reported this morning 52 cents versus 48 cents. This stock doesn't usually trade that much. It actually hasn't made a trade here since they reported earnings as well, and the spread is very, very wide. 48.80 to 53.30. So we're looking at a 4-point spread. So I don't know if they like the number or they don't like the number. I will tell you where resistance is on the charts from the technicals.
Yep.
52.30. I'm looking at the 52.45 and the
Yep.
52.31 area on the upside, and then the downside, well, right above 48, probably where the thing's getting bid right now. Actually, $49. You had a low there just 4 days ago, so I think you'll probably find some support down there.
Yeah, I mean, we're trading. I don't know if that was an odd lot trade, that 50.72 print or whatnot. But
Last night.
yeah, last night. I mean, you got a good area. You got yesterday's low at 50.86, and you're trading right there in the pre-market. So if you can hold that level, perhaps you can sneak back into the 51 handle. If that 50.86 doesn't hold, you have a lot of area. You got a low at 50.15 and then 49.54. So looks like you got a lot of gaps. Not. It doesn't trade a lot of volume here. It trades less than 1 million shares. You thought that the SIBO would trade a little bit more.
We are breaking with the jobs number right now. Oh, boom. They just smacked it. They just smacked it down. We're down right now. This is going to chop around a lot. We actually popped enough 9 points. Now we're getting killed on the jobs number here. We're actually
Dan,
down a point and a half.
Yeah, if you want to take a quick second here and see what's out
yeah,
there.
I wish I would have popped off actually sooner. I was probably trying to talk and trade at the same time. I shouldn't do those things. But anyways, Brent, what is the numbers?
He is just getting a look at him right now.
Holy cow, they are crushing it now. We've just lost 15 points since the high, but we are chopping around handles right now.
Here we go, boys.
Handles.
Here we go. Non-farm payrolls for January, much worse than expected. 113. Economists were looking for 180. Private sector, 142,000. Economists were looking for 185,000. However, the unemployment rate did tick down to 6.6%. Economists were looking for 6.7%. And it looks like, looking at the revisions here for December, actually it looks like the first time they got it pretty right. Revised for the non-farm number, revised a little bit higher from 74,000 to 75,000. That's for December, remember. And then the private sector revised slightly higher from an initial 87,000 to 89,000.
Wow, we got volatility here in the S&P futures. We popped up all the way to 17. Where did we get a high to?
86, 17.
Holy cow, I didn't even see that. Is that right?
Yes.
So they popped it up another 10 points? It just ticked up there, just swept out through the whole book.
I mean, it's there. It's there. I mean,
I see
there.
it there too on the chart, but I was watching it, so it's quicker than the eye because I was watching it. I never saw it tick above 1778. So that's incredible. That was all in one mighty blow. Man, they buy that thing in the wrong direction right off the hop because they're dead wrong. We're at 1760 right now. There's a quick way to throw away 26 handles on the S&P futures right now. That's your range here. We're right on the lows. We're making new lows right now. They are whacking the stocks. They are whacking everything across the board here right now. I'm just looking. A lot of stocks were obviously getting bid up because we were up 7 points here. They are whacking everything across the board right now, knocking down the big guns here. Goldman Sachs trading lower, obviously. Morgan Stanley. All your financials getting whacked here for sure right off the bat.
You know what? I mean, it is a little bit of a sell fest here, Dennis, but I can just hear what they're going to be saying now. I can hear the banner. It's the weather. It's the weather. And that's why the number's bad. It was really people couldn't get jobs or whatever. I don't know. I'm just a little bit of a non-believer in here. I think they'll come up with some kind of lame excuse here for it. But we
Wouldn't
are,
be the first time, that's
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. I mean, it's coming down. What, the unemployment rate fell? Is that correct?
Yep, down a tick to 6.6%, and that's a little better than expected. And if you're looking for silver linings, Joel, the manufacturing number, which I didn't read off, was better than expected, but that's just a very small portion of the economy. 21,000 jobs there. The street was looking for around 10,000 jobs, so a little better than expected there. But the big numbers, non-farm in the private sector, huge miss.
Wow, that's absolutely that's crazy volatility right there. I still can't believe they bought it up to 1786.
I never
Like I
saw it.
if,
I
I
never
see
saw.
I never saw it. I literally was looking at the S&P futures quote the entire time. I saw it tick up to about 1778. That's all I saw. I never saw the other eight handles. So that happened all in the blink of an eye. Obviously the trades are quicker than the eye nowadays. We know how fast the speed of the market is. But that's incredible. And they bought it in the wrong direction off the hop because, wow, we went from up to 1786 down to 1758, a 28-point range here in the
Wow.
last 3.5 minutes.
Maybe some of these trades up there will get canceled.
No,
No?
No,
no,
Wow.
no,
no, they won't
no.
cancel anything like that. They got rules. They got different ways that they do stuff like that. On the S&P futures, have you ever seen them cancel trades on the S&P futures, Joel?
Not since I was on the floor.
I
You
don't
know.
think I've seen that in
Yeah,
years on the S&P
yeah,
futures. You see it in
yeah.
individual stocks sometimes, obviously, but I've never seen it in the S&P futures. Even during flash crash day, none of the S&P futures trades got canceled. You had individual stocks that trade down to a penny got canceled, and they were anything that traded 60% away got canceled on the stocks. But S&P futures, I've never seen them cancel stuff like that. Now that's just, you know what that is? That's just some algorithm that's reading off the headline numbers and they're reading it wrong. There's so many algorithms that are trading off of news right now. Some of these guys are pretty sophisticated, but some of them are not. And somebody screwed up big time there. Like we see these overshoots on the earnings individual stocks all the time. You don't usually see it as much on the S&P futures because usually they're thicker. But around these jobs number, everybody pulls their order. Liquidity
Right. I was
definitely
just gonna.
falls.
Yep. Yep. I was.
Yeah, so stuff can. That's why you see it chop around so much. So.
Yeah, maybe the on the next maybe for March or whatever, we'll actually bring up a montage of the S&P futures and show them exactly what's going on with the liquidity here. But I'm not. People just pull their bids and the offers, and it just can go wherever it wants. So it's just the a byproduct of the market. When there's uncertainty, people pull their bids and offers, and you get someone really got railed on like a buy stop there up to 1786. But boy,
That's the other thing is the buy stops. You gotta watch your stop orders, especially if you're trading stuff like this. I'm not sure if people got stop orders out there on the S&P futures, be pre-market, which I think would be crazy in the first place. But if they do, holy cow, they probably bought it at 1786. They probably bought at the high. So you got to watch that, because a lot of people, even some sophisticated traders use algorithms off exchange stops, whatever they want to do, and thing trades up to 1778. They'll put a stop, they'll get executed at that high of 1786. Liquidity is always very low around these events. It always has been because the adverse selection risk is so much higher. Adverse selection is just simply the odds of the trade moving against you. So your limit order sitting out there and getting basically picked off. That's what adverse selection risk is. And that's what will happen. Obviously, high frequency traders are very quick, and they'll pick you off if you're on the wrong side of the trade when there's new news breaking. It's just pure information arbitrage. So, but you had some people buying it the wrong direction right off the hop, that's for sure. We have come back here now. We're only down 2 points now, but we're significantly off that 1786 high.
And if you're trading the S&P futures or individual equities and things like that, I mean that's it's always maybe a good idea to use an exit point there. Like let's say you had a target at 1785, boom, you'd be done. he would have sold there, and it's good to, to use that kind of volatility as, exit points, not necessarily piling in to buy if you think the unemployment number is good. But, I mean, it's not going back up to 1786 today. I mean, right? I'd be
I
hard
would
for,
very
yeah.
much doubt it. I mean, anything can happen in this market. We obviously, when the ball starts rolling in one direction, it can really continue to roll in that direction. But I very would highly doubt that we're going to see 1786 yesterday. We did see a 27-point up day or whatever we had yesterday, so it's always possible. But I think the high's in. But they are trying to buy this market
I
back
know.
right now. We just ticked
Darn
green.
it. I
This market's resilient. This market's
Well,
resilient.
you
They're
have a
trying. It's
28-point range, right, Dennis? Here, basically.
wild.
Yeah, so half of 28 is 14 when I went to school. I'm looking at upside target here, 1772. We get back above that area. That'd be a nice halfway bounce. Saw you 1772 as a level. And then, also you got to respect unchanged here, the close. And that's where we're dancing around right now. So the range is in for the day, folks. You can go home.
Let's check out some of the financials because, like we said, those are the ones that usually move around the most off of these jobs numbers. Goldman Sachs, for instance, here, I'm just looking at the trades. It was trading up right before it broke at 62.75, so we were up a buck. Kaplooey, the bottom falls out. It goes all the way down to 60.70. Now it's back up at 61.80, so it's been a 2-point range in the last 8 minutes for Goldman Sachs. Look at that GS chart, though. That 160 level, that is just huge.
Yeah, that was you got down there Monday and Tuesday earlier in the week, and gave a nice double bottom there at 159.77, 159.85. So someone was targeting that whole 160 area. How the heck did this get down to 160.10 yesterday, Dennis? How did that happen? How would you let that
Some of the,
happen?
how did I let that happen? Why wasn't I buying it there? That's the better
Yeah,
question there.
I'm very.
Actually, yeah, we opened kind of strong and then we just kaplooey. We fell off in the first 20 minutes all the way down to those lows. We had a little bit of weakness there. Remember, I'm trying to remember yesterday, but weren't we higher and then we pulled back just a little bit there off the hop? Is that what happened on the S&P futures
I
yesterday?
don't know. I can't remember
My
this.
goldfish memory, I can't remember either, but I do remember the financials being a little bit weaker off the hop, and then they started buying them, and obviously a lot of the financials closed very strong yesterday, had decent days. Check out the Citigroup chart here. It really popped yesterday, reversed strong off the 46 area there that had put in a couple bottoms down there. Reversed strong, closed right almost on the high yesterday at 48 and a quarter. Actually, Citigroup is getting added to the US 1 list. Whatever,
What's
Brent, what's
that?
the US? What is the US 1 list, Brent, at Bank America?
Same kind of thing as the conviction list at Goldman. A bunch of firms have sort of like I think Wedbush has like a best ideas list. Bank of America has the U.S. one list. It's just like
Okay.
within the U.S. their top near term picks.
And
Uh,
Citigroup was added to that, and it is popping. And it was popping stronger this morning here. It's actually only up 12 cents here now because of the overall pullback in the S&P futures. But
JH3, did you? We were. I know you asked about that one yesterday. I was wondering if you caught that one because it had the two highs at 47.37 and 47.50 from Tuesday and Wednesday. Opened up. Got down to those old high. It opened up on the day. Pretty nice up opening. Came back and nicely filled the gap. 47.37 was Wednesday's high, 47.27 Thursday's low, and then it turned around, rallied back into the 48 handle. After this 48.27 level, we're already trading at 48.45. Minor resistance of 48.70, and then you start to get into the 49 handle.
you got to think. I'm going to think this one's going to be relatively strong because of being added to the Bank of America Merrill Lynch list there. So even if this market does start to go down and trend down, I think Citigroup will have a little bit of relative strength there, just because it's kind of like an upgrade. I'm just looking at the opening imbalances there too that did break at 8:30. And Citigroup's got a 36,000 share buy imbalance. It's pretty small,
Yeah.
pretty early there, so I don't think that's really influential here as of yet. So we'll keep an eye on it though, and the market's still chopping around, so a lot of information is going to happen here in the next 50 minutes before the market opens.
Just probably is not showing up real well here on the 15-minute chart, but we did get that pop, and We were dancing around settlement a little bit there, Dennis. Got up a little bit above it, so that settlement's turned out to be a big number today. Apple, they just can't knock that Apple down. Still showing up $8.
Apple just shrugged that incomplete. Apple's like all of a sudden it's the stock that the Teflon stock where it just doesn't respond to the down to the bad news there. Apple really didn't sell off here at all. Bring up the Apple chart just from the last few minutes if you can, because it really didn't sell off here with the market whatsoever. The market's dropped from the highs, obviously over 20 points, and Apple hasn't sold off at all.
Yeah, got a dip down to 518, but we quickly recovered here. JH3 said he got shaken out a little bit early in the Citigroup, but came back to scoop some profit. That's good trade at JH3. If you take a little bit of a loss on something, at least you reevaluate the trade and you come back on it. But DJ's just popping in here. We haven't talked about IBM, Dennis. I know you were talking about the swing trade there, and you were noticing all that support at the 172 level. Boy, this thing is really making a lot of lows in that. Oh, we got down to 172.19 again.
Yeah,
172.36.
I love that actually. When they take it out the low by like 30 cents and then starts to reverse right away, I kind of like that because it makes everybody that was leaning on that level possibly gone. Short-term herd that was trying to pick bottoms there might have got shaken out. It wasn't it wasn't really only 30 cents through the number there. Usually I like it when it's a little bit more and then pops back through the big level there again, but chart doesn't look as bad as it did a couple days ago. It's trying, and obviously the market's helped the stock too, though.
Yeah, for as much so as the S&P's rallied, this really hasn't rallied that much. You did have a double top at 174.85 and 74.97. You've taken that out here in the pre-market, traded above it. Got all the way. Let's see what the pre-market high is for IBM here. Uh,
It's pretty strong here this morning. It's up $1 here, actually. It was reported by the Financial Times last night that they're mulling a semiconductor sale. I'm wondering if that's giving a little bit extra relative strength here because we're trading up $1 on IBM, and the market's obviously down 2 points.
Got a pre-market high at 176.47 here. Pulled back a little bit. Like to see it come back down to those old tops at 175 to act as support, perhaps for a lower risk entry on the downside.
We are starting to run short on time here. We're going to go to our guest here in just a second, Joe Gits, who we've got back here from Social Market Analytics, and we'll be able to talk about which stocks he's seen on his radar here this morning.
Okay.
So we'll take a quick break, and we'll get Joe on the phone. We'll be right back at you guys.
Welcome back, traders and investors. We have a very special guest coming back, Joe Gits from Social Media Analytics. Joe, how you doing today?
I am doing good. How are you guys doing today?
Oh man,
Happy Friday.
Yeah, we just strapped our seatbelt on here. The S&Ps are just all over the map, 1786, and then broke down to 1758 and a quarter. And now we're back green. But tell us what Twitter's telling us.
Well, Twitter is saying you've got green all over the boards. I got in here bright and early this morning, and I started looking at the snapshots of the day, and there is not a whole lot of negative going on today. People like everything, but we got a lot of good stuff. So the only one that's really coming out solid negative this morning is Genpack Limited, symbol G. They're in services, management services, and they look like they're a mess this morning. Chesapeake Bay Energy is not real good today either. But other than that, things look really positive. On the top side today, this again is based on our flash report, and I don't mean to plug myself, but go to Social Market Analytics and look at it, guys. Advanced Auto Parts, AAP, number one on the long side today. So what's happening there is they're at a 4.1 standard deviation. So that means people right now are talking about Advanced Auto Parts 4 standard deviations more positive than normal, 99% more positive than normal. USG is a 4.05. And Matrix Services, so we've got a lot of industrial goods looking positive this morning, and that makes sense with all the jobs numbers coming out. AVGO Technology, EXPE Expedia, Monster Worldwide, MWW, Activision, ATVI, and these are all really strong positives this morning. These are going higher. Patterson UTI Energy Corp, so basic materials and a lot of industrial goods, Noble Energy, and then iRobot. It just moved into the top 10, so they have a lot of positive deltas going on. This morning, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, can you just slow down and give us a few of those tickers? Because I'm going to write them in the chat. So these are the ones that are positive here. So I'm writing in the chat right now. So.
All right, did you get AAP?
Yeah, AAP we got. They had earnings there yesterday. So that's obviously
USG.
Earnings. USG, yep.
MTRX.
So that's MT, Michael, Tom, Roger, X-Ray?
X-Ray, yep. Matrix Service Company.
Yeah, Matrix Service, yep.
AVGO, Avgo Technologies. Alpha, Victor, yep. Expedia.com. Monster Worldwide. MWW. It's an advertising agency.
Yeah.
Activision.
Yep.
And then Patterson, UTI Energy, PTEN.
PTEN.
Yep. Noble Energy, NBL. And iRobot are the top 10 right now. iRobot's interesting because it just moved in to the top 10, so you're going to get a nice delta there. And then you also have what's going on with the big names. Well, Apple just this morning popped up as an alert because it went from slightly positive to a very positive 3.1. So that's an interesting name. Apple's always the biggest name in social media, so when you start seeing a big move in it, that's always interesting.
I wonder if that's just off, like, do you see these? Because this was a Wall Street Journal article, obviously breaking here this morning. Yep. And that probably really gets the chatter going. They're just saying that they bought back $14 billion worth of stock here in the last 2 weeks. Is that typical then? The Twitter chatter probably goes crazy off a Wall Street Journal article?
Apple just goes, if someone sneezes at Apple, Twitter traffic goes crazy on Apple. So, yeah, that's a big one. Green Mountain Coffee this morning. I don't know, there was an article about Green Mountain's coffee with Coca-Cola, but Green Mountain Coffee has been acting really positive for the last couple of days. So that's an interesting story right now. Microsoft.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I wondered what you're using the Twitter here on Twitter, and I just wanted to, what's the sentiment out there on Twitter? I mean, it got whacked.
Twitter is not good. Twitter on Twitter is not good right now. So let me give you the actual number on Twitter. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Twitter right now is a negative 0.957. And what's really interesting is the longer term sentiment on that is going negative. So the number that I'm quoting, the negative 0.97, that means the conversation is almost one standard deviation more negative than normal, and the baseline, the sentiment value on that is also moving negative. So Twitter is not being tweeted about positively.
So you don't think they're going to pop this stock back here today off the bad down earnings report there yesterday? It's not going to be a big bounce back day for Twitter. At least social sentiment isn't saying that's going to happen.
It doesn't say that. So here's a tweet that just came in. I'm not going to say the account because I don't know if it's valid, but people wishing to buy at 25.30 are out of their minds. It will not happen in this lifetime. So there's a little positive. Okay, some guy's exiting his position and shorting, going back short. He's exiting his long and he's shorting here. So there's that one. I don't know. Penny stock alert. Well, that's not going to.
So do you get things on? Do you follow? Just I mean, you nailed it here. You came out and said nothing but positive here, and now we're
Yeah.
back up
I
8
know he
points. I'm
started
like,
talking.
Joe,
We were
what do you?
down 2 points, Joe. You started talking. We popped 10 points since you started talking. Maybe you're the big market mover here.
There you go. There you go. I'm the sage. But I'll tell you, this morning it was so positive that I went and looked at the database. Let's put it that way.
Couldn't even
So
believe it.
yeah. So normally, so just as an example, in the top 10 report, the average sentiment. And I'm going to pull it up here because I was just laughing at some of these Twitter ones. In the top 10 report, the average score is about a 3.6. That means the conversations of the top 10 are 3.6 standard deviations more positive than normal. On the bottom side, the average negative is about 1.5. Okay, so 1.5 isn't even at the 2 statistically significant threshold. So the positive conversations are more than 2 to 1 over the negative. And normally you have a pretty good balance. So there's some serious upside bias today. Serious upside bias.
And that was early too. Now LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah.
LinkedIn had earnings here, and not real impressed. Real big
Yeah.
range here in the pre-market. Just from a technical perspective here, J. Dot. I'm watching this thing bounce here between 205 and 210 here. What kind of readings are you getting on LinkedIn?
All right, let's see what we got on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn obviously is positive right now. So LinkedIn, but it's only at a 1. It's only at a 1 standard deviation right now, and so let's see what people are.
So
All
it's,
right.
so it's down 1443, and
So
not.
Goldman, yeah,
And you're saying you're getting positive readings on it.
yeah, slightly positive readings right now. So the last tweet that came in was Goldman cutting a price target to 256. I'm sure everybody knows about that.
That's
This guy just
interesting,
exited.
though. That's real interesting when the stock comes out. Obviously, disappoints earnings
Yeah.
and the sales. Well, the earnings didn't disappoint, but the sales figures, the guidance on the Q1 sales disappointed, and they really knocked this down last night. Got all the way down to 191. It's back up
Yeah.
at 209, and we were kind of just speculating. I'm like, this has really kind of shrugged this off a little bit, and I'm wondering if this could be one of those situations where this thing gets all of its losses back. And if you're telling me the chatter is kind of positive here right now,
Yeah.
when you would suspect it would be negative, maybe this could be a scenario where this thing could see, settlement here, 220.
I'm seeing some difference of opinion. So Morgan Stanley reaffirmed, and that came out. So people are on social media right now. People are fighting on where this thing's going to go.
So
nice buy dip. Here's a guy he's gonna buy on any dip this morning.
So the data that you're getting, I mean, and I know you got
Yeah.
a lot of different clients that are using it for different reasons, but I mean, is it being mainly used as a day trading tool?
It is a very powerful day trading tool. So the history of the company has all been buy-side firms. So our initial products were real-time APIs for buy-side firms. And now what we're seeing is that the active trader products that we recently launched have really opened the data up to the active trader, day traders, even intraday traders, because it does change intraday. And so your day traders are really enjoying the benefits of this product. And I'm pulling this data now right off the product that people can subscribe to. I've got the added benefit of going to check the database, but I'm pulling data off the same product that your users can subscribe to and that you guys got access to. So it's available. This is what traders need, because what it's doing is it's showing you instantly what the feel of the pit is. So back when I started my career, I was in the pit, and you could always feel when the markets were changing direction.
Right.
Because the energy picked up. The social media, that's the feel of the pit. This is the kind of thing that day traders need.
What
It's really cool. I just had one quick question. Actually, it's coming out of the chat from Violin Maker there. He's wondering how you account for retweets. Do you give more credibility when somebody tweets something and then it gets retweeted like 25 times? Does that have instant more credibility?
There is. So we don't use number of followers at all. Retweets do get a little bit of extra weight because retweets are a unique value proposition in the Twitter sphere. So yes, they get more weight, not significantly more, but they do get more weight. And we don't account for number of followers at all.
Okay.
And what about Triple D? What kind of reading are you getting on that today?
All right, let's take a look.
Yeah, had some real bad news on the earnings fronts, guided lower. They crushed it. Island bottom down there, now coming back up. DJ's pointing out here that
Triple D is neutral to slightly positive, 1 standard deviation green.
okay,
Just
and
trying to climb back.
yeah, climb
Keep
back that
trying.
wall of worry. And I know this is a little bit after the fact here, but boy, you had they really pounded GM yesterday in the pre-market based on the earnings
Yeah.
and Ford as well. Ford had a good support level. I mean, for me, if I see something down like GM, they really pounded in the pre-market, and there was positive vibes on it, boy, I think that would be something I would
Yeah.
hop into. Did you what did you remember?
Let's see what we got on GM and Ford. Let's see what we got on those
Do you
two.
remember from yesterday though? It's just because it was so down in the pre-market, it actually opened
Then it
added slow.
yeah.
I mean, I know I'm kind of asking you
Y- y-
after the fact.
Yeah, so right now, so yesterday, let's see what was happening yesterday.
Yeah,
Yesterday we had yesterday we had right around zero. We didn't have a whole lot of commentary in Twitter sphere positive. The volume was high. So yesterday it was 0 to slightly negative. It wasn't radical either way.
Okay. And what you
And
got?
Ford was similar. The two charts looked pretty much the same.
And what do you got a reading on Michael Kors today? I mean, the stock had a great gap up from earnings, starting to look a little bit tired here, but holding in there. I mean, what
All right, let's take a look.
Michael Kors,
Yeah.
where Dennis takes his wife shopping all the time. They buy a lot of
yeah,
that
for
Michael
sure.
Kors stuff.
I'm a big Michael Kors fan. That and big lots.
Yeah, big lots.
All right, let's see what we got going
Michael
on.
Kors, just for you violin maker here, boy, you almost got an exact double top at this thing. 92, 93, 90, 92, 94, and 93, 18. That's the all-time high for the issue. Obviously, someone targeting that whole $93 level as an exit. Also, two closes right there, 91.34, and then the all-time high close at 91.50. So, like to see it continue through the 93 there, violin maker. If you're playing
So right now we're a little negative, but the last tweet that came in, should you buy it? So there's not a whole lot of strong, not a whole lot of strong direction right now on that.
Should you buy it work? How does that work? Because
We didn't score it. I'm just looking at the Twitter feed. That's coming in as probably a big no opinion on it. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of opinion going on. So what we do is we would store it. Yeah, what we would do is we would store it and just go back and look at it. That would probably generate, maybe we need to look at this account.
So
but, there's not a whole lot of opinion on it.
So are you looking for issues that aren't tweeted about a lot, and then all of a sudden there's a lot of traffic in it, or do you look at the big guns every day and trying to find consistent patterns in the tweets?
So what we do is we are looking for the intentions of professional investors, and then we're aggregating their intentions. So you don't need Facebook to tell you Apple, Google. I'm sorry, you don't need Twitter to tell you Apple, Google, and Facebook. What you find in Twitter is interesting securities that you wouldn't normally think about. So a lot of those names that I was giving you earlier are brand new. And so when professional investors are talking about these particular securities, there's a reason for that. It's great for idea generation. New stocks to look at.
Okay, and take another look at a stock that got really beat up on earnings here. Do you get a lot of traffic on AT&T?
Oh yeah, Oh, absolutely. So let me pull up AT&T here and see what we get.
The chat's all over you. They just keep popping up ticker symbols. They just want to keep going. What's this?
No, that's fine.
They're going
Absolutely.
through their portfolios right now.
And with our products, they can sign up and put their portfolios in. They can put their portfolios in and start tracking them real time. We're getting high volume, not a lot of solid direction on AT&T right now.
Because that stock broke down to a new 52-week low and actually 18-month low there yesterday at 31.74. You look at that dividend at 5.75%, and some people probably licking their chops. But at the same time, you look at the technicals there, and I hate it when stocks are making new lows, especially when the market's rallying this much, and they're just kind of throwing this one out. So interesting.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of volatility noise. People are talking about volatility and option trades in AT&T today.
Okay.
J-Dot wants to know about SodaStream, SODA. That stock was absolutely crazy yesterday. It was way down pre-market, then came all the way back and rallied pre-market, and ended up closing up on the day. So interested to know what they're saying on soda.
Not a lot of chatter on soda right now. Not a solid direction.
Okay.
Yes. What else you got? I love this. This is great.
We're just popping through all the stocks there. Well, give me Kellogg's. I've got a little long position in Kellogg's, so I'll throw one of mine too.
All right.
So
All right. Let's see what Kellogg's.
there was an upgrade there from J.P. Morgan today, so I don't know if that's helping or not. But maybe this isn't one they talk about a lot either.
Kellogg's is an interesting case because it went from negative to positive, and you're getting that change in direction, and you're getting some good volume on Kellogg. So it was negative this morning. It was negative this morning when the early numbers started coming out, but it has now crossed the threshold to positive conversation. So Kellogg's looking good today.
So by volume, you're talking about the number of tweets then, correct?
The number of indicative tweets.
Number of indicative tweets. Okay, here's an interesting chart here of Cree, bottom a couple days ago here, and trying to battle back here, closed near its high of the day. What kind of reading are you getting?
Let's see what we get on Cree.
Cree.
Yeah, not a lot of volume. Not a lot of people are talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I want to know Netflix, because Netflix is it's gearing out to a new all-time high here right now in the pre-markets, trading 414. I was on the show this morning saying I think this thing could see 420 today. What's the Twitter world saying? Are they agreeing with me or disagreeing with me?
Reducing my position on Twitter. Unloading some of my Twitter. Yeah, so it's I'm sorry, reducing my position on Netflix. Yeah, so it's not. They're not raging on Netflix this morning.
So it's negative on Netflix right now, or is it?
It's neutral right now. So I'll tell you where it is. It's 0.051. So you're getting, for every positive, you're getting a negative.
Okay.
So it's,
what about? Oh boy, these stocks are popping up here.
they're popping up everywhere. We can't keep up with the
But first
chat
of
here
all,
right
J-Dot, is there a free trial of your product?
Yeah, you can log on and get this report. Absolutely. Socialmarketanalytics.com, and you can get the report that I'm quoting from on that. It's a 1 month free trial. Go ahead and sign up, and you'll really enjoy it. What it does is it'll get your day trader new ideas, and not the same old stocks that are going to move, and stocks that you can make money trading.
Okay, and Chipotle Mexican Grill here, down.
Huge social media stock.
Oh, really?
A huge social media. So there's stocks that. So if you had to say what stocks do you nail? Chipotle is one of them. That's one that gets that has great sentiment figures, and it's positive right now. Chipotle, Green Mountain Coffee are big ones. I mean, those are the kind of stocks that people just love to trade on social media.
How come?
640 target today. That's it. I don't know.
Like all that Mexican food there, Joel. They like go eat there and then talk about their food.
What about, and this one has just been a dog, and we were talking about the chart for a while. Is it, you getting any positive chatter on Lululemon?
Oh, Lululemon. Yep. All right.
All those people that like.
Yeah, we are. We're getting positive for Lululemon. Lululemon's getting all sorts of alerts today.
Oh, really?
Positive alerts.
Okay.
They got the number on that one, and there's a comment about an upgrade. There's a comment at 2.6, so that is statistically significant.
Do you find it, talking about statistically significant, do you find that there's like a time of the day that this is more effective? Like you got a lot of banner going on, near the open, a lot of activity. Yeah. Do you find it, that it's more, is it valid, throughout the day, or does the validity kind of start to wane the more you get into the day and the more chatter that you get?
That's a great question. It's more active in the morning because people are trying to set up where they want to spend their capital today. So in the morning, there's a lot of conversations going back and forth, saying, "Okay, I'm going to be in Chipotle today. I'm going to be in iRobot, Johnson & Johnson," and as the day wears on, people are kind of winding down and talking about where they're going to take their profit. So the tone of the conversation changes from I'm going long today, I'm going short today. In the beginning of the morning to the end of the day, it's like, I'm going to cover at 20. I'm going to flatten out my calls. I'm going to offset. So it comes how they're going to lock in profit. But the early edge and the edge report, they're fascinating reports because they show the changes in the morning. And so you get an early edge at 7:10 Central, and then you get the edge at 8:10 Central. So you see how the market is setting up, where the deltas are, where the changes are, and then so in those lists you're going to get 30, 40 stocks that you're going to be able to trade today and take some money out of the market.
Okay, all right. We've had Joe Gits here on social media analytics, giving us the latest reading on the Twitter feed here. It's fun, to listen to these different things and get opinions for the day. Thanks a lot, Joe, for coming on, and we certainly like to have you on again next week.
I love it, guys. Thanks. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
All right. See ya. Bye-bye.
Okay, Mighty Joe Young, are you out there?
I am out here.
How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you, Joel?
I'm feeling better.
Yeah?
I think
Look at this market. We're all feeling
I mean,
points. That's I want to retrace that 1786. That could happen today.
You know what? I wish I could have suckered you into another bet, Dennis, because when we were just cascading down there at like the 1760, and I said to Brown, I said they're gonna make something good out of this. It was too much too fast. I think I might have been able to get that last pot belly lunch up. So
it's just ridiculous. We're right back up to where we were trading. We're actually higher than we were trading prior to the number. We were trading around 1774 prior to the number. So been a wild ride there ever since, obviously all the way up to 1786, all the way down to 1758. But the theme still stays the same. Buying pullbacks in this market. They continue to buy the pullbacks.
okay, Dennis, we'll let you get there to the keyboard, and now we're going to shift gears. Mighty Joe Young with the morning headlines.
Morning headlines indeed. Vice President Joe Biden told CNN he'll likely decide in the summer of 2015 whether to seek the presidency again in 2016. Biden, who made unsuccessful bids in 1988 and 2008, sure sounds like he wants another campaign. There may be reasons I don't run, but there's no obvious reason for me why I think I should not run, Biden said during an interview broadcast on CNN's New Day. German Chancellor Angela, is that right? Angela Merkel has strongly criticized a comment made by senior U.S. diplomat about the European Union's role in the Ukraine. The German leader considers the comment by the top U.S. diplomat for Europe, Victoria Nuland, to be absolutely unacceptable. Ms. Merkel's spokeswoman says. In a leaked recording, a voice resembling Ms. Nuland's is heard saying, F the EU, the EU, suggesting that the EU's position on Ukraine should be ignored. The spokeswoman told reporters in Berlin today that Germany believes the EU foreign policy chief, Catherine Ashton, is doing a marvelous job trying to mediate between the government and opposition in Ukraine. The comment emerged after a phone call involving Ms. Nuland was apparently bugged. Apple has reportedly repurchased $14 billion worth of its stock in the 2 weeks after its first quarter financials and second quarter revenue outlook disappointed investors. Shares are up almost 2% in pre-market trading on Friday. Late Thursday, the Wall Street Journal reported that Apple CEO Tim Cook said that the company was surprised when its stock dropped 8% the day after its earnings report and revenue outlook. He told the newspaper he wanted to be aggressive and opportunistic. The company has faced pressure from activist investor Carl Icahn to boost its share buybacks. Cook told the Journal that Apple has repurchased more than $40 billion of its shares in the last 12 months. Officials in California on Friday are set to outline proposed state legislation requiring smartphones and other mobile devices to have a kill switch that would render them inoperable if lost or stolen. State Senator Mark Leno, San Francisco District Attorney George Gascon, and other officials have scheduled a news conference about a proposed merger that would require any mobile devices sold in or shipped to California to have built-in anti-theft devices. Leno and Gascon say the anti-theft measure, which Leno plans to introduce this spring, could deter thieves from stealing smartphones. They believe the bill would be the first of its kind in the United States. A San Francisco Democrat, Leno joins Gascon, New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman, and other law enforcement officials who have been demanding that manufacturers create kill switches to combat surging smartphone theft across the country. Chrysler brand CEO Al Gardner said he's focused on launching a new midsize 2015 200 this year and said the brand could add future models. Chrysler has 3 current vehicles, the Town and Country minivan, the 200, and the larger 300. Last year, Chrysler brand U.S. sales were down 2% to 302,000 units, while overall Chrysler Group U.S. sales jumped 9% to 1.8 million. The reality is Chrysler brand needs to be relevant, and relevant is not necessarily playing in midsize, large car, and minivan only, Gardner said on the sidelines of the Chicago Auto Show, referring to the 3 products. Are there opportunities outside of that? There are always opportunities. Future product has to sit on the showroom floor and it cannot compete with Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Gardner said the 2-minute Chrysler 200 Super Bowl ad featuring Bob Dylan has been a success. The ad has been seen on YouTube more than 4.5 million times. We like to do this every year with something new and exciting, Gardner said, referencing prior ads that featured Clint Eastwood and Eminem. Ford Motor stepped up its campaign to convince the Obama administration to include provisions to block currency manipulation in a proposed 12-nation free trade agreement. Joe Hinrichs, Ford's vice president of the Americas, said in a speech to the Economic Club of Chicago the proposed Trans-Pacific Partnership must address currency manipulation. The real elephant in the room right now is currency manipulation. We need to make sure that it is not ignored. It represents the major trade barrier of the 21st century, and it must be addressed in any future U.S. trade agreements, Hinrichs said. Countries like Japan have historically manipulated their currencies in order to gain unfair advantages in the global marketplace and protect their home markets. Hinrichs cited studies that Japanese automakers are making billions of dollars in extra profits because of the fall of the value of the yen. Japan, wow, has denied it is currently manipulating its currency. Japan, we be Japan, man. Google is giving aspiring student artists and inventors a rare chance to get their original artwork on the heavily trafficked Google.com. The company is kicking off a Doodle for Google contest, and any student in the United States, grades kindergarten through senior year of high school, can submit their own doodle between now and March 20th. The theme of this year's contest is If I Could Invent One Thing to Make the World a Better Place. If your idea is especially brilliant, you might want to patent it before showing it off to the entire world or having it turned into a top-secret Google project. In addition to a $30,000 scholarship and a tech grant to their school, the winner will make a trip to Google headquarters and work with its Doodle team to turn their drawing into an animation. The winning entry will appear on Google on June 9th. And in other Google news, Google has made clear its stance on the Russian anti-gay law marring the Sochi Olympic Games by giving its search page a rainbow makeover and a link to the part of the Olympic Charter that bans discrimination of any kind. The law, which prohibits homosexual propaganda among other things, has drawn criticism from human rights groups, gay-friendly businesses, and governments throughout the world. Google's new front page on Thursday, visible internationally and including google.ru, shows athletes superimposed over a rainbow, a well-known symbol of gay pride. Below the search box is an excerpt from the official Olympic Charter. The practice of sport is a human right. Every individual must have the possibility of practicing sport without discrimination of any kind and in the Olympic spirit, which requires mutual understanding with a spirit of friendship, solidarity, and fair play. And into today's trivia tidbit, Jay Leno's run as host of The Tonight Show officially came to an end again last night.
Billy Crystal.
His final words to the audience echoed Johnny Carson's farewell as a teary-eyed Leno said, "I bid you all a heartfelt good night." The comedian was bid farewell by a star-studded final show lineup that included Oprah Winfrey, Kim Kardashian, Garth Brooks, Sheryl Crow, Jack Black, Carol Burnett, and... It'd help if you weren't muted, Brent.
Billy Crystal.
Oh, there it is. Who was Leno's first guest on his first episode as host in 1992. Over 22 years, Leno hosted 4,610 episodes, consistently besting his competitors in the late-night TV ratings. And today's trivia question, ladies and gentlemen, on your mark. Who is Leno's most frequent target of jokes over his tenure? Today's trivia question, who was Jay Leno's most frequent target of jokes over his tenure? I have a guess, and I don't have the answer yet. And
oh, sweet! So you can
my guess
make a guess at your own question.
I can, but my guess would have been wrong, so I'm not gonna do it.
Is it not Billy Crystal?
It is not Billy Crystal.
Joel, any thoughts?
Man, I'm not a big. I haven't watched this Jay Leno at all. Is it a politician?
It's gotta be.
Yes. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, yes or no questions.
We have a guess out there.
Erica is
Bill
guessing
Clinton?
George Bush. Brent, what was that?
I didn't guess that, but somebody guessed Bill Clinton.
Who guessed Bill Clinton?
A man named Scott Gilson.
Scott Gilson, you are correct. Bill Clinton was one of the
what does he win?
biggest target of those jokes. He wins the pride of being the winner. As far as politicians go, for celebrities, it was O.J. Simpson. Those findings were reported Tuesday in a study by the Center for Media and Public Affairs at George Mason University. Yes, those people sifted through 43,892 jokes told by Leno between May 25th, 1992 and January 24th, 2014,
Jeez.
and tallied them all up. It turns out Clinton was the subject of more than one of every 10 Leno jokes about a public
What?
official. The center's director, Robert Lichter, said in a statement Leno's monologues focused on power and scandal, and Bill Clinton was the top twofer. Yeah. Simpson tops celebs with 795 jokes about him, followed by Michael Jackson. That wraps it up for me today, ladies and gentlemen. Just a reminder, the show would not be possible without our dear friends at Options House, who will give you 150 commission-free trades if you sign up for an account through this page. There's buttons at the top, at the bottom right. Go ahead, make some clickies, open an Options House account, get 150 commission-free trades just because you listen to Benzinga's pre-market prep. And now, special guest on the show, we have Billy Crystal. Billy Crystal, you out there with some rating changes?
Oh man, I wish I could do a Billy Crystal impersonation right about now. I'm gonna have to work on
I'm
that
sorry,
one.
we should have practiced that beforehand.
But that was a great trivia tidbit, Joe. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
We need to get you definitely like some theme music.
Something with a horn section. Actually, I
Whatever
was
you want.
listening on my way home after I dropped Joel off at his house because he's a bum and doesn't have a car. Howard Stern had his birthday bash last week, and they're replaying it on the Howard Stern channel, and he was interviewing David Letterman, who took over for on the late night show? Late show?
I don't know what
Anyways,
they call that.
he was saying when he was learning everything from Johnny Carson in the early days, there were all these requirements that he couldn't tell more than 4 jokes in his opening segment. He couldn't have a band with a horn section. And so they were wondering where all these things came from. There was a man, I'm going to blank on his name right now, who he believes just tried to make things difficult for him because he was the new kid on the block. So, that being said, Brent, you got some rating changes for us?
I always do. The day that I don't have rating changes for you, Joe, well, I don't know. I don't want to know that day. Some of the top upgrades this morning. Citigroup upgrading shares of Alpha Natural, that is ANR. JP Morgan upgrading shares of Kellogg to neutral following those results. I believe that was yesterday. RBC Capital upgrading shares of Lululemon. None other than Lululemon from sector perform to outperform. Joel, I don't know if you want to take a quick gander at this one. I know we had Joe Gits talking about this one.
Yeah, Lulu's really been in the news here. Well, at least our news, right? Benzinga's pre-market prep. Trying to mount a rally here, and you got a positive market here, so maybe you can get a little bit of a rally. Not a lot of pre-market trading. You made a 46.85 high, just hanging out 30 cents below that. You did have, you're breaking above the $46 level, couple lows in the low 46s. Maybe you get a pullback under 46 because you are gapping up right now. Maybe get a little bit of a pullback, but this chart is just very strange. It's just consolidated, went down, had some lows, consolidated, then went lower, consolidated, went lower, and now here, this is like the longest extension of the consolidation period. So hey, maybe Lulu's finally found a bottom.
Well, I'm glad you're making that call because I sort of like Lulu just as a stock, Actually, got some breaking news here. I want you to take a look at the chart of Aaron's. That is Alpha November. We're gonna kind of delay / halt the top upgrades downgrades. Aaron's Let's see. A firm named Vintage Capital in a 13D filing that was just out, saying that they offered to acquire Aaron's at $30.50 per share, and we are off to the races following that.
What is Aaron's?
Is that like Aaron's Rents, I believe?
Is that like
I think it's like a rent-a-center
Yeah, it's
kind of thing.
rent anything under the sun that you could possibly want for your home.
Let me just
well,
make sure.
it's $30. That's the price. Because it's maybe the
Yeah.
street doesn't think it's enough because just spiked up.
30.50 actually.
Spiked up to 30.22 here. Now you're coming back to the 30.68 level, so maybe some shorts got a little bit nervous to take out prices going to be higher than that, but we'll see. Trading 30.68 right now, supposed to take out price 30.50. We'll see if they get another suitor.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. And just to clarify, Aaron's is a specialty retailer of consumer electronics, computers,
Yeah, that's right.
residential furniture, and they engage in the lease ownership, lease, and retail sale of a variety of products. So, going on with the top upgrades. Apologies for that brief interruption. Wells Fargo upgrading shares of Starbucks this morning from market perform to outperform. Not sure if you got a chance to talk about this one earlier, Joel.
We did just briefly here, getting a nice pop here. I'm not buying it until Sazi comes on and tells me to buy it.
Fair
right?
enough.
Yeah,
Fair
he nailed
enough.
it around 76. Just made a pre-market high at 73.75. That coincides with the high he had going back on the 29th at 73.66 here. So see if it can get through that initial resistance.
All right. Also, SunTrust Robinson Humphrey upgrading shares of LinkedIn this morning.
Sounds like a law firm.
SunTrust Robinson Humphrey. Yeah, I believe that. Let me see. I was going to say that's Bob Peck. Yes, that is Bob Peck upgrading LinkedIn today.
Ooh, that's a bold move here, huh?
Sticking his neck out a little bit. I feel like he does that sometimes.
Yeah, well, just keep in mind that Joe Gits, even though he had LinkedIn trading down here in the pre-market, did have some positive Twitter banter here. Looking at the chart, really been, I mean, he had the big range, but as of late, been consolidating between 2.5 and 2.10 here. So see how that range holds out. If in fact you can get back above that 210 level, get into yesterday's range. Let's see what you had. Kind of close near the high yesterday. Yesterday's high way up at 225. The close at 23.45. So really no major resistance until you get up to that area.
Last one on the upgrade side of things. Stifel Nicholas upgrading shares of Netflix. I know we definitely talked about this one a little bit earlier. Upgrading that one to buy. Let me see if I can grab you a price target for a little perspective really quickly. Let's see here. Looks like 475 price target
Ooh.
there on Netflix.
Holy mackerel.
Holy mackerel is right. A couple of top downgrades this morning. Check out shares of Fairway. That is Foxtrot Whiskey Mike. Fairway Group Holdings, relatively new issue as I'm remembering it. I believe they are a grocer on the East Coast. Does that sound right to everyone?
They're not like have something to do with golf courses?
Fairway, I get it. Nope, don't believe so.
Not that I'm ever in the fairway when I golf.
Nice.
If I am, I'm like, if I'm on 8, I'm on the fairway on 9.
Yeah.
You
Me
know?
too. I'm with you, man.
You said East Coast, right, Brett?
I said East Coast.
Yeah, Fairway Group operates retail food, selling fresh, natural, and organic products, prepare food, and specialty and gourmet offerings, along with an assortment of conventional groceries.
So what happened last night is I believe they had some earnings. Let me just confirm that. I do see a little bit of earnings loss. Q3 loss of 74 cents. They also announced an organizational realignment, naming a number of co-presidents, saying that their CEO will be retiring. Believe someone else is stepping down there, and the street is really not liking this news this morning.
No.
Fairway shares are down 22% almost, and they are receiving 5 downgrades this morning. BB&T downgrading, Guggenheim Securities, Wolf Research, BMO Capital, and also Credit Suisse downgrading shares of Fairway this morning. Once again, it's Foxtrot Whiskey Mike. I am not even sure you can take a look at any technicals in this one, Joel, because there's probably a whole lot of air here.
Yeah, and it's let's just look at it from the pre-market here. Fairway trading lower here. Let's see. FWM, you said?
That is it, sir.
Okay, let's take a look. Boom, boom, boom. That did get down under the $8 level. Got down to a 770, getting a little pop back up, finding our resistance at 9. Boy, this thing has not done well at all. So just keep an eye on that 770 level. DJ's popping in here. We had a Fari on yesterday.
Yeah.
And
Who could forget?
yeah, who could forget? Good old Fari was talking about GW Pharma. We probably talk about that stock more than anybody on the street here.
Potentially.
And he was getting a little bit of a negative rating on that. I mean, just because it had just rallied up so much here. And if you took some profits in there off Fari's proprietary indicator, then you would have had a pretty good day because
Yep.
that thing traded all the way up over 65 bucks, 65.56, and then boom, some profit taking came and took it down to 57.26 here. So, boy, you're gonna take a lot to get it back down to the $50 level, but quite a reversal in fortune for GWPH.
Bit of a
yesterday.
continuation today. Is the $55 level gonna hold? It looks like it wants to hold here, right?
Well, looking at the pre-market, you got a low at 56 even, and you're getting a little pop after that. You do see the low at, let's see where you have on the daily chart. You did have a couple lows at, nothing's real close on this one. 55.19 was your 3-day low.
Alrighty, okay, so continue with a couple of those notable downgrades. JP Morgan downgrading shares of iRobot. It is India Robot Bravo Tango. See what I did there? They now rate that stock with an underweight. Bank of America downgrading shares of AOL this morning. Susquehanna downgrading shares of Cigna. Ticker is CI Charlie India, downgraded from positive to neutral. Want you to take a look at this next one, Joel. Goldman Sachs downgrading shares of Lowe's this morning. Now rate that one with a neutral Lima Oscar Whiskey.
Lima Oscar. We haven't talked about the Lowe's or the Home Depot
Nope.
in a while.
Long time.
I tell you, when I go in those stores, I just like, who buys all that stuff in there? I mean, I go in there and I go in there and buy a light bulb or something, and some staples or something, or what else do I buy? I bought the wrong one. I bought extender for trying to think of what it is, man. But I roam those aisles and I'm like, who buys all this
This is a
stuff?
lot of junk.
Lowe's here. Let's see what it's done in the spotty trades in the pre-market. Found a host of resistance the last 4 or 5 sessions at 46.78 to 46.80. So if you get back up to that area, look for major resistance. Coming back on the downside, you had a low of yesterday at 45.60, so that'd be your first support level.
And we are open for trade, open for business. Looking at the S&P futures around 1777.50.
That's about as
After all of that, huh?
that's like an understatement, huh?
Right?
After all that movement, huh? Spiked up to 1786 on the number, and then came all the way down to 1758 and a quarter.
Wow.
Rallied all the way back. Boy, a lot of volatility here on a Friday on the jobs number. Let's just take a look in the recently here after all that big ranges. Now the highest the S&Ps have traded here since coming down and making that low at 64 and a quarter has been 1779.75. So let's just keep an eye on that 1780 level here on the 15-minute chart. See if that resistance hold, and then who knows? There's really not a lot till you get back to the settlement at 66.50.
Well, good luck, all the traders out there today. I'm going to hand it over to Shaky Jake the Snake. He's not really shaky. He's not really snake-like, so it's just kind of I think it's just kind of like
Just
an
a nickname.
alliteration kind of thing.
Yep.
All right, everyone have a good weekend. Here's Jake.
Wow, what an intro there. Yeah. Shaky Jake the Snake. Maybe I can just keep picking up some more nicknames, throughout the weeks. Be like the nickname acquirer, like Google is the company acquirer. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they'll
That's
acquire you.
maybe a nickname will acquire me. Is that usually like a more popular nickname? I don't know where this is going.
So what do we got? What do we got on the radar?
I'm gonna hop into a few different things. I really want to start with Apple with that announcement. They've bought back $14 billion of shares over the last 2 weeks. I loved how everybody was kind of trolling Carl Icahn the last 2 weeks, saying, "Oh yeah, company missed. Are you pissed off now?" And obviously, I think he kind of knew what was going on. It explains that huge support the stock had at $500. Just definitely seeing some interesting action from that. And I want to keep an eye on it today, just because, I mean, just think about it where this could possibly go with basically the traders know there's this huge support at $500. So what does that mean? So I don't know, Joel. What are you thinking of Apple up about 1.7% here, trading around 520? It's been kind of in and out of this area. Any thoughts?
Got a lot higher in the pre-market. Actually, got all the way up to 526.24. During the jobs number, they took it down to 518. I mean, I'm not going to chase this up here. It's just I like to see. I would rather see it come down. It had a couple daily highs at the 515 level. I think I'd be more inclined to let it come back into there. I'm not going to chase. And also, you got a gap going into a gap, so that's just gotta let things clear up a little bit here in Apple. I wouldn't be chasing it.
Guess who's above $5 now, and maybe even heading for 6?
I don't know.
J.C. Penney.
No way.
Up 2.3%, right around 580 right now. Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
Really?
I think maybe, as you'd like to say, I think somebody, maybe bought something from one of their stores, and that was like a bullish release or something. There's a Seeking Alpha article listed in the newsfeed for this one, and it was attempting a reasonable bullish argument. I mean, this is how like ridiculous. Like, if you want to make like a bullish argument on it, you basically have to put a huge disclaimer that there's a good chance that you're just flat out wrong. But I mean, shares are at what at trading around $5. Market cap I'm seeing is at 1.7 billion at this point. So this company is just has been hurting like no other. Got crushed earlier this week. Dropped below $5. Joel, what do you think of J.C. Penney? Is there
Well,
is there
what
any way you can trade this right now, or
what was their argument? What was their bullish argument?
I haven't jumped into the piece yet. I think I probably will in a little bit here. I can get you some comments from it, but I don't know if that's what's really causing the rally today, or maybe it's just, I mean, at this point I don't, maybe it's just it dipped below $5. There's huge support at 498 from what I remember, so maybe it was just kind of some bulls getting in, some short covering. Who knows?
It actually did put a perfect technical double bottom in on Tuesday and Wednesday at 490. Held that level. Had a nice rally yesterday, getting continuation. I think for me, I'm keeping an eye on this whole $6 level, 601, 613. Now, when they came out with that news earlier in the week that they thought was good news, and the street would want to hear, they popped it over 6, and then they ended up taking it down over 5 in the session. So this is a pop, but I don't think you can get real excited here until you can get back over that $6 level and hold it.
Another one that's getting some relief today is Twitter. After getting smacked down on yesterday's session, they're above $50 now, up almost 3%, rallying this morning. So I know that they really fought with that that $50 level. There's a big battle there. Joel, what are your thoughts on Twitter? I mean, that the report really disappointed investors despite the numbers looking good. It was just the user growth, kind of scared away a lot of the traders, and I mean the bullish case of what was being made for it was getting a little out of hand, and now maybe it's being brought back down to earth. Do you think $50 is the range it should be staying in? What are the charts telling you?
Well, that 50 held yesterday. There was some huge institutional bids there. Who knows if they were covering shorts or attempting a long position in this issue. Today's range is kind of tight here, 51 to 51.90. This thing usually moves $2 off the open. I guess you just, you got. I think support's going to be moving up from the $50 level today. 49.99. People feel like they missed the low of the moves. I think as you drift back into the 50 handle, you're gonna get support well ahead of that 49.99 low. As far as the upside goes here, 51.90 has been the high in the session. 53.90 was yesterday's high, so not a lot of resistance in this. After a big move like this, you kind of like to see a couple days of consolidation, maybe an inside day, and then play a breakout of the inside day.
Well, this company has beaten on earnings on the bottom line the last 7 times it's reported. That company is Activision, Blizzard, Alpha, Tango, Victor, India. They beat once again this week, 79 cents versus 73-cent estimate. Revenues came in thin this time around, though, 1.52 billion versus expected 1.22 billion. So, decent report on the bottom line there for Activision, Blizzard, but the top line's a little concerning. The guidance came in at the fiscal year is $1.26 is what they were predicting, which is right in line with estimates, while revenues came in right in line with estimates for the fiscal year of 2014. For the first quarter, they predicting 9 cents on the bottom line. The street was looking for 11, and the revenues guidance for the first quarter was a little low too. But it looks like the guidance wasn't bad enough for traders to really get scared. They loved the bottom line, and it's getting bid up like crazy today. I mean, it's up. It was up 12% last time I looked. It was over $2, and it's over the $19 level. And the way kind of momentum it had, it seemed like it may be heading for $20. Joel,
Wow.
any thoughts on Activision Blizzard here?
Hearty, what kind of games do they make? Do you know?
So they have Blizzard is the brand that I know most from them. I mean, they've got the World of Warcraft, if you're familiar with that. They've got the whole Warcraft line. They've got StarCraft. They've got quite a few other things, and then Activision has its own huge huge portfolio. So lot of big names with this.
Is it for like sci-fi kids?
I mean, that's Blizzard kind of is. It's like Warcraft is like a fantasy era, while StarCraft is futuristic sci-fi kind of thing. So that's what Blizzard offers, and they're a really well-known game company. And Activision, like I said, has a really strong presence as well.
Got a open 18.95, opened up almost $2 higher, and then I don't see how this thing got to 19.95 so quickly. But now you've come right back down, so this thing's chopping around. You might have seen the high for the day in this thing, after just ripping through the 19 handle and then coming all the way back down under 19. You got to figure there's a little seller's remorse here as we go back up into the 19. So kind of thinking the high of the day is done here after you take out that morning low of 18.93. I mean, you can't find a lot of support into this thing until you get down to 17.20 to fill the gap.
Another one I want to take a look at is LinkedIn. The company reported earnings after the close yesterday. That's Lima November. Kilo Delta. Company reported 39 cents versus 38 cents expected, while revenues came in at 447.2 million versus expected 437.84 million. That makes 7 straight reports this company has beat on the top and bottom lines. Guidance did not impress the street, though, predicting Q1 revenue 455 to 460 million. The street was looking for over 470 million. That looks like enough to send the stock off to the races to the downside. Last time I looked this morning, it was down 6%. Now it's down about 8.5%, really picking up momentum to the downside here. Maybe going to test that $200 level again. I know it broke through there in the pre-market. Joel, any thoughts here? If it breaks below 200, what do you think happens?
Well, you had a pre-market low way down at 191 here. A lot of consolidation in the pre-market trading between 2.5 and 210. Finding resistance right around the 210 level. Now we've broken down here through 205 here, trading in the low 203s. I will alert our traders to a low that you had on January 29th at 201.86, about a buck and a half away from there. The other low for the year was at 198.60, so a couple levels here before you get down to that pre-market low of 191.
Yeah, we got a few other ones I want to hop into. I know that we had a few major earnings reports after the close. I want to kind of jump into a few more of those, but this morning we also had American Axle reporting. Alpha X-Ray Lima is that one's ticker. EPS came in at 39 cents versus the 49-cent estimate. Revenues coming in at 831 million versus expected 868 million. So American Axle missing on the bottom line, missing on the top line there, kind of following along what you kind of expect after. What the auto industry has been doing recently, but they are trading up. So it looks like I'm gonna grab some, probably got some guidance there for you guys real quick. Guidance came in for the fiscal year of, let's see, was that 2014, 3.75 to 3.8 billion versus the 3.8 billion expected. So nothing too crazy there. But it looks like it looks like it was enough to impress traders.
Yeah.
Seeing it trade up right now. Maybe they're expecting a lot worse than this report. I mean, they missed by 20% on the bottom line and missed by a little over 4% on the top. But looks like it's good enough for the street right now.
It's a Michigan company, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yep. At a really, really interesting point here on the daily charts. You had multiple highs between 1932 and 1935. Back at the end of February, you hit 1930 in today's session here. Hit some major resistance, got a nice spike off the open here. So I expect this resistance here to hold up today at that 1935 level.
Another stock I want to look at is Cigna this morning. Reported EPS of $1.39 versus $1.49 expected, so a miss there. Revenues came in at $8.15 billion versus expected $7.35 billion. So Cigna with a strong beat on the top line, but missing on the bottom line there. That's Charlie India is the ticker there, and that was enough to send it off to the races to the downside, down almost 8% right now, picking up a little bit of momentum right now as I'm looking at it. Below $80, it's trading down with almost $7 total, over $7 now. It's picking up momentum. So, any thoughts on Cigna today?
Wow, gap down, and they are just punishing this thing on the low of the day. Under $78. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna get to. You had a low under 78, boy, not down to 76.61. Boy, that just seems a little bit overdone here for this to be down, on nearly $8. But making new lows as we speak here, so you got to respect that 76.61 low from November 1st.
Well, we're seeing a lot of strength in the markets right now, and I can't believe I'm saying this with that just horrendous jobs number. I guess maybe now we're back to expecting more quantitative easing and less tapering. I don't know, but markets rallying here. S&Ps are up 13 points today. Are you kidding me? Joel, what are you thinking of this?
Unprecedented volatility here, but when Joe came on from Social Media Analytics, he was saying that it was just a lot of bullish sentiment out there, and it's carrying over into the market. Just looking at the pre-market high, I can't believe we're already back up there to 1786. That's your level to keep an eye on for this move here. Another 4 points away from there. Extremely volatile session. If you look before we had the big breakdown, we had a high at 1783.75 and 1788 and a quarter. That 1786 level right in between there. So getting a little bit overextended here on the upside, but hey, you can't put anything past this market.
Yeah, it's just kind of interesting to see where this went. Personally, I thought that if we were going to get a miss on that number, that it was just going to be off to the races to the downside with how much fear we've seen this week. But that's how wrong I was, and I guess that's why I'm on a news desk and not a trader.
Yeah, that's what makes a market. But okay, that jam-packed session. Thank to Joe from Social Media Analytics for coming on. Have a good trading day and a great weekend. We'll be back with you on Monday.